Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our global Nimble community. My name is John Farrar, CEO of Nimble, and I love these webinars where we bring in friends and experts to spread some knowledge and inspiration in and around the areas of promise of our Nimble product. And I think that being able to effectively communicate and engage your ideal customer along their customer journey is critical to your success. And no better to do that than my dear friend, John Jantsch, founder of Duct Tape Marketing. John, say hello to everybody.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the support, and I love to talk about the topic we're going to talk about today, and hopefully give some insight to your audience.
If you're not aware of John Jantsch previously to this, definitely connect with him and join his communities because he lives and breathes growing entrepreneurs. I love the forward in your book where you talk about how they've inspired you, John, and the Thoreau quote in there. But John's been writing books on marketing and entrepreneurship since I've known him over 10 years and probably before that. And what I love about your books, John, is they're digestible and applicable to lay people out there where it's easy to understand and execute, and they're not really big books. And so I really appreciate the ability to quickly pick up one of your books, read through it, and you are able to shift with times as the market shifts. And so your books are always fresh and current. And I'd read your bio, but I'm sure everybody can read that. So I'm not going to bother people with reading that. And for those that don't know me, I'm an entrepreneur who builds software that helps people build relationships at scale. I started doing this because I struggled to build relationships with spreadsheets and day timers before Outlook or Salesforce existed, and built something called Goldmine, which predates both of those. It was contact management and CRM back in the DOS days. And I got back in the business because I started using social and saw it was going to change the way we work, play, buy, and sell. And been doing that ever since and having a good time with it. Let's go to the agenda. And before you start, John, I just want to encourage everybody to ask questions. It's how we all learn and grow. And we'll be answering the questions in the background while John presents, and then we'll cover the key questions at the end. And with that, John, take us away.
I will. Before I get started, John, I will note that I may be one of the few presenters that you've brought on here who was also a Goldmine customer and user. That's how long I've been doing this too.
Yeah, you know what? I've been blessed by people who appreciate who I am and what our teams build. And thank you for helping put my kid through college, Colorado State and University of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to share a topic that I call Rethinking the Customer Journey. And it is actually the basis of my next book called The Ultimate Marketing Engine, which we'll share some ideas on that at the end of this. March 15th, 2020, I'll give you about 5 seconds to think about what you were doing. Most of us were scrambling to think, what, gosh, is the world changing? Is the world coming to an end? We're really experiencing some new and uncharted waters here. It was a Sunday night, and I got a long text from a longtime client who never texted me on Sunday night. So this was unique. It was, excuse me, it was basically the content of an email that he was planning to send to his 50 employees and to the dozens and dozens of customers who had projects going with them, basically saying, hey, don't show up for work on Monday. Nobody's going to come work on your kitchen there or a modeling contractor. We're going to stop all work, and we hope you understand that we just think this is the right thing. Well, I was on the chain of replies, and I was really struck by how many people wrote to them immediately, said, hey, you're doing the right thing. We're with you. Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. You just let us know how we can support you. And to me, it's shown such a bright light on something that I think is always true. And that is that, in good times, a lot of times businesses just thrive by being in the right place at the right time. But in tough times, I think growth comes from being important in the lives of your customers. And as I said, I think that's always been true. But what we've gone through the last year, year and a half, I think shone such a bright light on that idea. And yet, so many of us are still participating in the old let's create demand. Let's drive our customers to do what we want them to do. Let's throw them up in the top of that funnel, and voila, we'll turn them into loyal customers. I want to share a few statistics that highlight just how much marketing has changed the last 10 years or so. 61% of mobile searchers are more likely to contact a local business if they have a mobile friendly website. You probably already know that's something that you have to focus on. 87% of potential customers won't consider a business with low ratings. We've got to be stimulating, creating those ratings. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. 64% of consumers say watching a video on Facebook has influenced a purchase decision. Not only do we have to be on all these social networks, we now have to be creating content in the forums and the mediums that they're dictating every day. 92% of consumers will visit a brand's website for the first time for reasons other than making a purchase. Our website, the hub of our marketing in many cases, has a lot of jobs to do. And this is what people focus on, the very tactics that are involved in this changing digital world today. But I want to share two more statistics with you that I think tell a more complete story. 86% of buyers will pay more for a better customer experience. This was recently done by PricewaterhouseCoopers a couple months ago. 86% will pay more. 83% of business owners claim that their main source of new business is referrals. I know we did that survey at the beginning, but this is the number that I keep coming up with time and time again every year that I do this. The most analog, old school way to generate new business is not a digital tactic at all. But I think what people misunderstand in this rush to kind of having to be online and do all the digital things is that the thing that's changed the most about marketing is how people are choosing to become customers today. Even that referral is going out and searching and doing work and finding and deciding before they ever pick up the phone or fill out a form, or that you even know that they are looking to solve a problem. That linear kind of marketing funnel world of customer journey, it no longer exists today. And I would suggest that the customer journey looks something more like this. That many of the ways in which people come to find and choose the businesses that they do business with are out of our control. And that our job, I think, as marketers is less about creating demand and much more about organizing behavior. And not just any behavior, the behavior that our prospects and customers actually want to engage in with the businesses that they do business with. I want to introduce you to something that I've been working on for at least 10 to 12 years, and it's something I call the Marketing Hourglass. And this is my version of the customer journey. Now, it borrows, if you think about the hourglass shape, it borrows heavily from the funnel, and there's nothing inherently wrong with the idea of the funnel. We obviously have to get some percentage of the market to know we're out there, and even a fewer number to think that maybe we have the solution, and then obviously some percentage of them to become customers. But for so many people, that's where marketing ends. And what I would suggest with the Marketing Hourglass is that that's where our marketing actually needs to expand. That's where the opportunity now to really grow consistently year over year and build momentum exists. And so I take the hourglass or the funnel and I flip it over, and that's where we create the hourglass. And this idea of behavior is really easy to validate. Just think about your own buying decisions and how your own buying process. If you have a problem, you typically are going to try to find, you want to know about who can solve that problem. Once we find a business or a service or a product, we're going to visit that site, we're going to check it out, we're going to make snap decisions. We're not necessarily saying, do I like this? But we certainly are judging subconsciously if you like the website, if you like the interaction, if you like the message, if you like the visuals that are there. And then once you kind of pass that hurdle, we start thinking, okay, is this a business I can trust? Is this a business that has solved other people's problems? Does this business seem like they really know what they're talking about? We are not going to really engage a business today unless there's a level of trust, or at least some signals that clue that this is a business we can trust. And then I don't know about you, but I love it when I have the ability to try what it's going to be like to work with a business. And we're all familiar with the 30-day trial, software trial. That's become pretty standard fare these days. But I would say that many businesses, many of us are trying out businesses, whether we call it that or not. If we pick up the phone and call a business, we fill out a form on their website, we may not say, let's try out this business, but that's exactly what we're doing. And then certainly many of us have been let down once we decided to buy. So we want the buying experience to stay every bit as high as everything that led us to that point. And I know that when I find somebody that exceeds my expectations, does exactly what they promised to do, I don't go looking for a new solution. If I need that product or I need that service or I need to engage that company again, I just go right back to them. I don't price shop. I want that convenience. And then I think as human beings, we're all wired to leave referrals, to give referrals. If somebody exceeds our expectations, somebody surprises us, we almost can't not talk about those businesses. And so these are 7 behaviors that I believe people want to engage in. And our job as marketers, as businesses, is to understand how to guide them intentionally through these stages. Let's break each stage down a little bit, just so you understand what I'm talking about goes in potentially these stages. The first 3 stages, know, like, and trust, are really where you create the relationship. This is what we are putting out there. This is what we are sharing with the world that allows somebody to decide whether or not they might want to engage us. So in the know box, these are the typical ways that people come to know about businesses. We have to be doing advertising, search marketing, content, social media, community involvement, even networking. Now, we don't have to be doing all of these things because what we're trying to do is understand, how does our ideal client find a company like ours? Are we intentionally focused on those areas? Now, I will say in doing this in workshop form for years with thousands of businesses now, this is the one everybody can answer. This is the one that's like, yeah, I know what goes in there. I know how people find me, or at least I think I know the channels that I need to be in so that people can find me. Gets a little harder the farther we go. So what about like? As I said, once we find that business, we are going to immediately make a snap decision. Does their message resonate with me? Do they get me? Do they serve people like me or companies like me? Do the brand elements match what I think they should? We've all been to that website that looked like it was built in the 80s still, and we're out of there immediately because that's not what we expect to see today. Is there a story I connect with? Is there content that I like? Is there social media activity something I like? Even the user experience. Does the structure of the site, the navigation of the site make sense? Are forms easy to fill out? Does the site load quickly? I mean, these are all part of this aspect of the journey. And the question is, are we intentionally focusing on these elements as a way to guide people to the level of building trust where they are even going to want to call us or engage us? What goes in trust? Now I'm ready to look in and say, okay, should I trust you? Who else trusts you? Is your content delivering so much value that builds trust? Are there logos of other companies you work with or places in the media where your content has appeared? Reviews, social proof, media mentions, case studies. These are all things that we have to put on the roadmap of our marketing so that we are covering these to intentionally build trust. Again, a lot of these are subconscious. People aren't necessarily saying, well, I have to develop a level of trust before I'm going to call these folks, but you've all done this. You've all experienced these places where you've said, I don't like what this company is doing necessarily, or they don't seem to be for me. They don't seem to serve, my needs or address my problem. I don't see anything that makes me think that maybe they've been in business that long or that they have that many customers. We're all making those subconscious decisions along the way. And once we clear that hurdle and we have somebody saying, I want to look into this company, I think they might actually be able to help me. This is these 2 stages are what I call the bridge to long-term success. So what goes in try? As I said, many people are familiar with the free trial, but anytime we are starting to engage with a company or a website or their products, we're trying them whether we think it or not. So asking for a quote, picking up the phone and calling, maybe doing a free evaluation, filling out a form, getting maybe a higher level or a deeper level of content. Heck, watching somebody do a webinar or listening to them on a podcast in some cases is a form of try. Guarantees are a form of try, and at least in a way that limits the risk so that I feel like I can try a business. Question again is, are we focused on creating a great experience at these levels so that we can move people to ultimately the next, which is buy? And here, unfortunately, is where I see the biggest gap in most of the companies that we work with. This is the place where everything, all the effort was in the chase, was in getting the client or the customer to say yes. Have we thought through the marketing impact of how our transaction works? What about onboarding? What about orientation? What about our formal process for communicating expectations, progress, delays, whatever it is, results? Those are all part of how you create a great buyer experience. All right, now we've got that customer. The way you truly build momentum in a business is to scale with your clients. And that involves the retention, that involves doing more, that involves scaling or laddering up to other offers once you've built that trust. And then ultimately, the business truly scales when their greatest source of lead generation becomes their happy clients. So for repeat, what is your retention process? How are you going to continue to educate? It floors me how often clients of mine won't even have any kind of follow-up or communication. It's like, yeah, when you need something, give us a call. but actually teaching people what else they could buy from you, giving them special exclusive offers, doing cross promotion, having that opportunity to create. If you've got $1,000 offering, I can almost guarantee you there's some percentage of your clients that would give you $10,000 if you discovered a way to solve their next problem and their next problem. And finally, referral. And this is the one that seems to really blow people's minds because so many people, those on the call today, a majority of you get your new business by way of referral or word of mouth. Experience tells me, maybe not this crew, but experience tells me that very few of you are doing anything about it to create that referability intentionally. What are you doing to stay top of mind with your clients? You should be emailing or having promotions that suggest referral activity once a quarter at least. If you've got clients that are referring business to you, make them champions. What are you doing to give them like a whole special layer of love and appreciation? Have you considered who else has your ideal client in mind? Have you considered the idea of creating strategic partnerships and relationships or even co-marketing? In the book, it's broken down into 5 steps. I talk about really the 5th step is this idea of scaling with your clients. I have a whole program in there for teaching referral masterminds. If you have B2B clients, if you have businesses who are looking for clients, teach them how to get referrals. You can use my entire roadmap for how to actually create this mastermind. Bring your clients together and teach them how to get referrals. And I can almost guarantee you that not only will you be adding more value, regardless of the industry that you're in, to your relationship, you will start to receive referrals by way of reciprocation. So that was just a quick jaunt through some of the possibilities that I think are out there with this holistic end-to-end thinking about journey, the customer journey as really a framework and really identifying maybe the gaps that you have in this. Now, I would never be a person who would stand up here and say that there was a positive of us going through the pandemic. Certainly the disease and the death and the chaos there was nothing positive about. But I do think that it created an opportunity right now for marketers. Everything is up for grabs. If you want to innovate anything, now is the time. And that includes your processes. People were resistant to change. They're not resistant to change right now. People don't want to go back to maybe what they saw as the old way. I think we've seen a lot of what's possible now. And I think that's opened a lot of people's eyes to who they want to do business with and how they want to do business. I want to change gears here. And introduce another concept into this idea of the journey. Any Stranger Things fans? Steve on the left is wearing a particular jacket that some of you, if you were maybe 40 years old or older. I bet you John had a members only jacket. Uh, but I want to bring, why am I talking about this? This was, I had a members only jacket back in the 80s. It's something that, was a really big popular fad. And I bring it up today because I want to introduce a concept that it's probably, for some of you, will be hard to immediately wrap your head around because it's a different way of thinking about our customers and really about our businesses in general.
Hey, John, my
Yes.
my dad had one of those.
Awesome. Well, I still have one. So if anybody's going to traffic and conversion in San Diego, I'll be wearing it. Um, so here's the idea. What if we came to view our customers more like members? And I'm not talking about a membership subscription program, certainly not talking about Costco. I mean, those are decent business models. I'm really talking about more of a point of view that if somebody joins an organization as a member because they want a transformation, because they want to grow, they want to invest in themselves, what if you could look at your customers in that fashion, that instead of a customer going out and doing research to find a company they would do business with, a member wants to engage with an organization or a community that's going to help them grow. A customer is trying to make a purchase. I think a member thinks more in terms of investing. Imagine that somebody is actually going to become a customer of your business because they want to invest in themselves. And that change, doesn't that shift things a little bit in your thinking? I think a customer may refer a business, but a member or somebody who's really experiencing that transformation I've been talking about is going to evangelize a business. So this starts with a point of view, but I'm going to try to make it very practical for you as well. But it first starts with, instead of us thinking about transactions, we're thinking ultimately about the transformations that people are trying to experience. Here's how we make this practical. I've created something I call the customer success track, and it's a substantial portion and innovation of the book, and starts by asking these 5 questions. What stage is our customer in now? And where do they want to go? Typically, most businesses that I've worked with, their customers are kind of in a similar stage. They can define the characteristics. I mean, they can recognize who would be an ideal customer for their business. And they also know the challenges, the problems that they're trying to solve, quite frankly. By identifying those, you're able to then go to work on saying, okay, what are the milestones that our customer must achieve in order to move to the next stage? What activities, tasks, and action steps, of course, would literally guarantee that we could move them to the next stage? And then let's identify the promise that if we do move them to the next stage, here's what they can experience because of it. So I'm going to show you a couple examples, but again, it's what stage is our customer in today? How do we recognize our customer? What are the characteristics? What are the challenges we're facing? And many people know these elements because this is what you promised to solve. This is how you recognize somebody might be an ideal customer. But then ultimately, what are the milestones that we need to achieve or have them achieve so that we can move them to the next stage and they could realize the promise of moving to the next stage? Now, the beauty of milestones is that if you start mapping out all the milestones that somebody needs to achieve, and you use milestones as a yes or no question, there's really only 2 ways to go. Yes, we've achieved that milestone. Great, check it off the list. No, here are the tasks that will help you achieve that. So in my business, a typical milestone in a foundation stage is, does their website load effectively on a mobile device? We don't say, is their website effective? We say yes or no, does it load on a mobile site? If the answer is yes, then we know we don't have to worry about that issue. If the answer is no, then we have to go to work on solving that issue. So this can become a roadmap for our entire service delivery. But the key is, I want to keep my customers for life. I want to retain them forever. And so I not only develop the foundational stage that most of my customers come through, I don't just fix where they are today. I also then say, okay, what's the next stage? All right, we fixed the foundation. Now we want to generate leads, right? Okay, well, now we're generating leads. Now we want to successfully convert more of those leads. So ultimately, when somebody does business with me, we are essentially saying, we want to take you from where you are today to where we believe you want to be. And that becomes and has become really the mission for our entire business. What I want to suggest by bringing this book to the world is that this is, I believe that if you get this book, you will get my entire roadmap, all the milestones, all the stages, how I define them, everything. But I also want to suggest that I think any business, regardless of the industry that they are in, can take this approach. I think that there's no question some of you on the call today will feel this approach will feel even more natural. I mean, professional services, coaches, those kinds of businesses are sort of in the transformation business anyway. And so the long-term thinking of what's next might be quite natural. But I think that this is a point of view that at some level, any business, regardless of the industry, can take. And this is not just a marketing idea. This has become the mission for our business. I believe that getting a customer from where they are today to where they want to be could become the mission for even a product business. Certainly the messaging is much more holistic from a sales standpoint. Our consultants that sell our consulting services are actually able to say, look, we're going to fix the pain that you're in today, but here's a future state. Here's where we're taking you. Here's the roadmap. Here's why you're going to engage us for years, because we have a plan to take you where you want to go. It's quite a differentiator in a sales conversation. This tool and this roadmap and the way that we've thoroughly documented really has now become our entire training process. It allows us to delegate easier. It allows us to actually bring in people who are strategic or third parties to actually do work on these milestones, on these tasks. So it really has informed our entire service offering as we continue to mature with our customers. And I believe that this is the real opportunity for a lot of businesses. As you continue to mature or take this point of view of thinking about your customers in this way, it will all of a sudden really inform where you go with your products and services and offerings and trainings. It's certainly going to help inform your hiring, I believe, as well. Now, I start the book, The Ultimate Marketing Engine, with this definition. The ultimate marketing engine is a successful customer. But the key point to that is you can't make every customer successful. But when you develop this customer success track, you will automatically go to work and focus on your best customers, the top 20% in many cases, your most profitable customers, the ones that are already referring your business, the ones that you actually can deliver the most value to the fastest. And that will change everything about your business. I say this is a marketing idea, but truly this can be the overarching strategy for any business. When I was writing the book, everybody's familiar with the term YOLO. I know John has college-age kids, and so it's usually something that somebody says when they're getting ready to do something stupid. But it's one of those phrases that, like the marketing funnel, is kind of all about me. It's all about what I want to do. When I was writing this book, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, and there's a feature of this podcast where people would come on and actually ask questions at the end, or just leave comments, and they'd record them, and the podcaster would actually play them. And there was a teacher, a high school teacher named Howard in New York, that came on and said, yeah, I have all these high school kids and they use this term, YOLO, you only live once. And, I try to get them to actually reframe this. Said, what if you actually imagined that you had a friend that you were going to visit with or going to meet with, and you knew that they were actually going to die soon, but they didn't know it and you couldn't tell them. And that instead of YOLO, you actually thought and used the phrase TOLO. They only live once. How would that change or impact your engagement or your conversation or your attention when you met with them? And I know that may seem like a sort of dramatic way to end a conversation about marketing, but just for a moment, didn't that shift your thinking? Imagine if we treated our customers that way, if we looked at our prospects that way, if we went into conversations and went into creating transformations with that in mind, I think it's a pretty neat thought. I would love to connect with you. It's just John at ducttapemarketing.com. I have a companion site for the book called the ultimatemarketingengine.com. If you want to visit there, I have a free offer for you. If you pre-order the book today, the book actually won't be available for about 2 more weeks. But if you pre-order a copy of the book today, I will give you a companion course that is 6 videos, some of the lessons that I just taught here, but along with the worksheets. A lot of these things that we do and that I talk about, we've developed tools and worksheets because we do this stuff every day. We work with clients doing this work, and so we've developed a complete tool set. That'll be yours free of charge. If you go and get pre-order a copy of the book today, it'll be shipped to you September 21st. And frankly, you can start digging in today because you'll get access to that companion course. Sometimes people like these slides and like the ideas and they want to study them again. If you want to text the word duct tape, that's on the screen there, it's 2 T's in there, DUCTTAPE to the short code 66866. I'll start the process automatically of getting you a copy of this slide deck. So, John, I'm going to turn it back over to you to talk a little bit more about your work.
Awesome, John. Thank you so much. I really do believe that companies historically in the past have spent too much time talking about themselves and their products and not putting themselves in their customers' shoes to understand their customers' pain and their journey and to figure out how they could to help them get to where they want to be. And ultimately, I think it's about telling stories about how your customers are doing great as opposed to how great you are. And so I love your recipe for success there. And we're going to dig into it with some questions. I'll cover this basic offer here. If you're using Nimble today, thank you so much. We really appreciate your business and hopefully us helping you grow. If you're new to Nimble or haven't tried Nimble, go to nimble.com and you can go ahead and get a free trial. Normally it's 2-week trial. The graphics on this slide are a little bit faint. So Nadia, let's fix that. But if you want a 30-day trial, just go to nimble.com/offers/webinar30 and you'll get a 30-day trial. And if you feel that Nimble resonates for you and your business, we're going to give you 40% off your first 3 months. Just go ahead and sign up for your new Nimble license and use the code John40. And with that, let's go into the Q&A. So one of the questions that was there was from Glenn, and he wanted to know, John, what's the most effective way of getting referrals?
Well, so there's a lot, typical consultant answer, I have to say it depends. I mean, really one thing that people don't do that's the simplest is they're just not asking. They're not asking for them from, happy customers when they give you a review or at a moment of truth where they tell you how you save their bacon in some particular instance. So that's rule number one. But in terms of the most effective way, I personally believe the most effective way is strategic partners, building a strategic partner network. A lot of times people focus on their clients, and I get that. I mean, they know how brilliant you are. I mean, it makes total sense. But you find the right strategic partner. A client might have 3 or 4 people they could refer to you. The right strategic partner might have 500. Now, it doesn't mean that you just go out and you start recruiting people and saying, hey, send me referrals. You develop a relationship that provides value for them. And, I'll use what we're doing here today, John, as an example. You are graciously introducing me to a percentage of your community, and effectively, obviously, I had to show up and have something to say that that people thought was useful, but you were effectively referring me in a lot of ways, and my book, of course, directly to your community. So, going out and developing relationships with people that you can deliver value to, who also have your ideal client as clients, particularly if you're just getting started and you can't get referrals from customers because you don't have that many customers. Work on developing relationships with strategic partners.
Well, I can't emphasize what you just said enough, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about my journey as an entrepreneur and how building a partner network for Goldmine and Nimble was critical to our success. So, John, imagine that you invented contact management and CRM before Outlook or Salesforce existed. Companies didn't even know they needed network business software because Novell Networks shared printers and hard drives, but File Record Locker was just created. So there were no network business applications. Yeah. I created basically Salesforce and Outlook before they existed. How do you sell people something they don't know they need? So what I did was I contacted their trusted advisor, the person that sold them the network, because I had a car to drive on it. And the way I got them to become trusted with us is I got them to use it, because people sell what they know and they know what they use. They started using Goldmine, these Novell network resellers that I connected with, and then they started recommending and referring it. And that's how we got to $100 million plus a year in revenue on $5,000 investment, no bank loans, no venture capital. It's more powerful when other people talk about you than when you talk about you anyways. And then with Nimble, what we did was, there were no necessarily cloud resellers back in the day. People were fine try buying on the Google Apps ecosystem. So what I did is I identified the influencers in and around the areas of the promise of my product. So thought leaders in social sales and marketing. And I went out and I curated their content, the stuff that resonated with me, the materials they were creating. In fact, that's how we met, John. Mm-hmm. And I basically would share their content, hashtagging the category, pound sales, pound marketing, pound social, and attribute their name at John Jantsch, or duct tape marketing, I think is in your case. Yep. And what would happen would, people wanted to be better, smarter, faster in those areas of promise, social sales and marketing, would read the content and then kind of notice my brand, Nimble, or myself. And also the influencers themselves would basically say, hey, John, thanks for sharing my content. And I would do more than just share it. I'd comment on their stuff and I'd reword the title that was there. So it was original and there was some authenticity to it. And then I'd reel that influencer in for a conversation where I wouldn't talk about myself or my products. I'd do my homework and I would learn about them, and I'd ask good questions. I'd just shut up and let them talk. And if you let somebody talk, you'll learn about who they are, what they're about, where they want to go, and how you might add value. And then you suggest ways to add value. And after that 30 minutes or so, they're basically going to say, hey, John, tell me about yourself and what you're doing. And then you could tell them about it. And what happened is these people became my early adopters and early evangelists. And that's how we scaled Nimble to a global brand. So finding the trusted advisor is critical. And here's an idea for anybody listening. Anybody you're selling to has existing trusted advisors. Let's say a small business. It's their technology reseller, it's their accountant, it's their lawyer, it's their marketing consultant, whatever person they already have a relationship with. You want to build relationships with those trusted advisors, and then and pay those relationships forward, and then they'll recommend you. And I think chambers of commerces aren't bad places to consider doing that from, but there are a lot of ways to identify those trusted advisors. So anyways, I know that was long-winded, but I'm passionate about scaling your business through the trusted advisor of your prospecting customers.
No, it's John, I can pile on too. I mean, it's how we grew the duct tape marketing brand, quite frankly. And I do think a lot of people get that networking equation wrong. They network, which is essentially what you're talking about. They network with folks with the idea of, who can I network to become clients? Focus on networking with people who know people who can become your clients. Yeah. And develop a relationship, provide value to that person, provide your service so they can experience what it might be like to work with you, provide your products, and they'll be far more equipped to actually then refer you and recommend you.
Awesome. There's a gentleman named Carl Persall. It looks like that he is a branding marketer out of London, and he asked, first he says, great slides and presentation, thanks. And he asked if he could order it from the UK.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So, and then somebody else said, do I order, pre-order on Amazon? And really you can order anywhere that you order, books, that's fine. Then come back to the Ultimate Marketing Engine and you'll see, get access to, the, companion course, and it'll walk you through the instructions, once you've ordered.
Awesome. And Carl just said, yes, I found the right person. I nimbled you, Carl. Nimble tells me everybody's background so I can get to know them a little bit. And then if you hear my dogs, I apologize. I got my wife off a farm in Central California, Merced, but I can't take the farm out of the girl. And she's got a lot of animals, including 4 rescue dogs, but that's my life. And I think that is it for the questions. John, do you have any parting thoughts for us?
Not really necessarily. I mean, again, hopefully this idea of the framework of the marketing hourglass, the customer journey, gives you some food for thought, or maybe even help you identify maybe a few places you have some gaps that that can inform, what your priority projects should be for the next few weeks or next few months. That's certainly my intention. And again, reach out to John at Duct Tape Marketing pretty much anytime you want. There's the URL again, the Ultimate Marketing Engine, or the text if you want a copy of these slides. I sure appreciate John and the Nimble community have been great to me over the years, and I appreciate the continued support.
I just want to emphasize a couple things that you did say during your presentation. I think there's a lot of subconscious decision making that occurs when somebody's considering a relationship. And I say a relationship because when you do business with someone else or a company, you're building a relationship.
Sure.
And I think that you could relate that to relationships that you have in your life, right? Whether it is a personal relationship like you're dating or a spouse, or just friends, right? Because it's really all the same. You subtly size things up subconsciously, and it all counts, right? And that includes the presentation, the graphics, the load time, all the things you said. But it's, I think one of the most important things you could do as a human being is say what you're going to do and do what you say. It's the basics in business that will make or break you. And I think that one of the biggest problems that people have is that if you do what so many people teach you to build your brand new network, by building a great identity and landing page, by sharing great content to inspire and educate others, by building this network, it's not about the size of your network, but the quality of your network. And the quality of your network is choosing great people and companies to associate yourself with, and then paying those people forward on a regular basis. But most importantly, do what you say you're going to do, because that's the biggest killer right there. And I think the problem is that we all get too many connections, and then it's hard to manage and it becomes overwhelming. And then you need process for that. So make sure that you build processes around your business. Learn from what the military does. They know process so well. And if you do those things and you read John's books, I guarantee you success. I guarantee it. And you can come back to me for that guarantee. And with that, I'll get off my soapbox and let you all get back to doing what you do every day. Thank you for being here, being with us, and letting us serve you. Nedia, thanks for managing things in the background. John, you are a quality human being, and I feel lucky to be associated with you. And the audience, I love you all. Take care.